Hello, everyone. This is Shah. I'm the founder and president of Peterson Technology Partners. I have been in the recruiting industry for over 2 decades now, and this industry is on a cusp of a major transformation as the demand for talent has never been greater. I'm here to show you that not only where the industry is, but where it's going with the help of AI. I'm sure you have seen or experienced this story firsthand. I'm about to tell you about Jason Casper, hiring manager at a Fortune 100 insurance company. Recently, Jason was tasked with overseeing a major project with very high stakes. He had a lot riding on this project. The project required that he fill the positions on his team. Jason partnered with myself and seven other staffing companies to help him with the hiring process. We started our search and immediately received thousands of responses. I assigned two of my top recruiters to work around the clock just to vet the resume submissions. After a week of processing resumes and rigorously interviewing, we managed to narrow it down to about 10 likely candidates for each role that Jason had to fill. Let me be clear, each recruiting partner did the same thing. And this resulted in Jason accumulating over 50 resumes per position. Across all the positions, Jason likely ended up with 200 to 300 resumes on his desk. As a reminder, Jason also had a full time job to carry on with beyond these hiring initiatives. Jason did go through all the resumes and picked the top 30 to 40 candidates to interview. In the coming days and weeks, him and his team spent almost 6 hours a day for 30 days just doing interviews. In long term, high profile project failures could directly affect his promotion at the company and his career. Most managers, when they think of doing the projects, they think of the latest technology and the processes is what's going to make projects successful. I disagree. Processes and technology is only part of the equation. People are the key to success. No matter what business you are in or what project or product you are managing, you need to have people you can rely on in order to succeed. You need to be able to build the team you want to achieve the goals you want. And the key to successful team building is effective hiring. Make sure that when you need to fill an opening, you are able to find the right candidate at the right time for the right role. There are lots of moving parts. Most people only see one side of the recruitment, the process they go through to get the job, submit an application, attend the interview, get hired. But the hiring managers and the recruiters know how long and expensive hiring process actually is. As a hiring manager, you need to identify the needs of the role, prepare a requisition, devise a hiring plan with the recruiter, advertise for the position, review the responses, shortlist the candidates, conduct interviews. Some positions even require pre interviewing screening and multiple rounds of interview before an offer is made, negotiated, and so on and so forth. And if you don't find the candidate on the first try, you will find yourself repeating the same process all over again within few weeks. Filling an opening requires investment in time, money, and labor. Hiring managers take an average of 66 days to fill a single opening. That is right, you heard it correctly, 66 days to fill a single opening. That's 66 days where hiring manager is unable to focus on their primary role because they need to make time for a secondary job as a recruiter. The hiring process alone, all the steps we spoke about earlier, can take up to 1 month to complete. Hiring managers end up spending close to 12 hours a week just on recruitment. That is 30% of their average work week, 30% of the time spent spent not on leading projects, ensuring deliverables, hitting deadlines, and whatever else their job usually requires. The cost of filling a vacancy is about $50,000. And the worst part is after having invested all the money into filling an opening, there is no real guarantee that the new hire will be successful. Research suggests that almost 30% of new hires leave within 90 days because they are unsuitable for the role, or they received a better offer elsewhere, or they did not fit into your company culture, and so on. It takes your team a combined labor of 23 and a half hours just to process one candidate. And the hiring managers, especially in large organizations, routinely interview up to 50 candidates for one role, one opening. So if you are wondering, why am I talking to you about the cost of hiring? You are AI engineers, it has nothing to do with you. The reason I'm speaking with you, because to understand the importance of recruitment and the vital role AI has to play in this industry, we first need to understand that this is not an HR problem. It's not an abstract issue that can be left to the agencies or the hiring managers to deal with. Hiring, both the process and the end goal, will impact you and your organization on multiple levels. Fake resumes. Let's talk about that for a minute. One of the biggest problem in the recruitment industry right now is fake candidates. These candidates are either falsifying their resumes so they appear more qualified or have more experience than they actually do, or they attempt to hoodwink the hiring managers during the technical assessment by cheating. Yes, cheating. Despite rigorous vetting process by recruiters and technical assessment, you still find such fake candidates who manage to get selected for interviews. More than ever now, recruiters' reputation is online because it's recruiters' responsibility to weed through such individuals. Hiring managers also need to be extra cautious because it's becoming easier to con your way through the video interviews. Imagine the situation of a manager who just hired a disaster. A recent survey revealed that as many as 37% of the job seekers admit to lying on their resumes or exaggerating their qualifications in order to land a job. So, how do recruiters process so many resumes so quickly? The short answer is they don't. Let me give you a quick glimpse into how advertising for an opening would work. To fill a single opening, hiring manager works with the recruiters and the recruiting agencies. On an average, a recruiter receives around 1,000 applicants for one requisition. In large organization, it isn't unusual for hiring managers to partner with dozens of recruiting agencies, which means that there are more than 3,000 resumes being submitted to fill a single opening. Of this 3,000 applicants, fewer than 10 will get selected for the interview. Maybe one will get the job. The sheer volume of applicants that recruiters and hiring managers have to weed through to find the candidate is mind boggling. We are always left asking ourselves, how many good candidates are getting unnoticed? Did we miss out on a perfect candidate? Did we end up settling for someone unsuitable from the sheer fatigue? Are we spending enough time on vetting these candidates before we push them up the hiring ladder? Processing such large pool of candidates is humanly impossible. It's inevitable that mistakes will be made and opportunities will be lost. And this is all just one requisition. Please understand, individual recruiters are often engaged in sourcing candidates for multiple requisitions for multiple clients at the same time. Let's revisit Jason's story for a minute. His experience was not unique to the industry. Recruiters and hiring managers deal with such challenges every day. Hiring does not end when our workday ends. In most instances, hiring is something people do in addition to their full-time day jobs. And if you want to be effective at both, if you do not want to choose between being an engineer, a developer, a project manager, parent, spouse, and being a recruiter, more resources are needed. And now imagine if Jason did not have to deal with that mountain of resumes. If he could go through all those thousands of resumes in few minutes and make it home in time for dinner with his family, if his team could get back to working at a peak efficiency in a matter of days or a week at best rather than months. A few years ago, I would have said that's impossible. Hiring is lengthy, involved process and there is no way around it. Today, I tell you, it's not only possible, but it's happening as we speak. AI has helped us make recruitment quicker and simpler. AI, machine learning, and the ability to automate simple, repetitive tasks has completely changed the way recruitment works in the last few years. I believe that AI is the most important technological innovation in recruiting since the invention of a telephone and the internet. Increasingly, recruiters and hiring managers have come to depend on AI to aid them with their work and make their lives a lot easier. I think it is fair to say AI has revolutionized hiring. Let's take a look at how AI has successfully addressed some of the hiring challenges. AI will automate tasks like reading resumes, shortlisting candidates, scheduling interviews, and following up with the candidates. By just automating the most repetitive and time consuming recruiting task, AI can reduce the time to hire by 80%. Advertising vacancies to a wide pool of applicants requires posting job requisitions on different hiring job portals like Monster, Dice, Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor. Every day there is a new platform that comes up. So AI hiring platform can post these requisitions for you from one central hub. You can just create once and share it within the program and the AI will do the rest. It also gathers responses to this requisition from all these various portals and collect them in one place for easy viewing. The biggest bottleneck in the hiring process is resume screening. Using intelligent screening and natural language processing, AI can review, score, and rank thousands of resumes in just a few minutes. Communicating with candidates and hiring managers, scheduling interviews, sending email back and forth to follow up on the commitment can delay hiring by days. AI will help reduce time by automating interview scheduling and candidate communication. Please understand recruiters work on multiple job requisition at once for multiple clients. Managing the hundreds of responses each requisition receives and keeping track of where in the hiring process each candidate is nearly impossible for a recruiter. And AI will automate and maintain record of how many responses were received, how many candidates have been shortlisted, how far along the hiring process the candidates are, so forth and so on. Automating resume screening means that you can now grow and expand your pool of candidates. This allows you to recruit the best talent from anywhere in the world without ever having to fear the possibility that someone skilled will slip through your fingers. AI ranking and scoring abilities will help you identify the best talent straight away and give you a better class of candidate to pick from. Using AI to identify the best candidate quickly will significantly improve the quality of your hires. You will be able to spot the candidates with the best skills, the best experience, and equally important, the best fit. As the quality of your hire increases, your turnover will decrease and overall productivity will grow. Now, let me tell you that the hiring landscape is intensely competitive. Both employers and recruiters are engaged in a fierce competition to snap up the best talent in the market. Having the power of AI on your side gives you a really big advantage in the game. Imagine you are a recruiter who has 2 days to submit the shortlisted candidates. In addition to you, there are few other recruiters working on the same requisition. Your competition has to go through hundreds of responses, identify the best candidate, and hope that that candidate will make it past the interview. Are they likely to go through all the thousand odd resumes? No. Do they have time? Absolutely not. So, what do? They comb through the first 20, 30 resumes and pick a few closely matched candidates and send them on. There is no guarantee of quality or success. You, on the other hand, having AI on your side that will do the heavy lifting for you, AI will look through every single responses, whether it's 300, 3,000, doesn't matter, using machine learning to pick the best ones. You will be able to finish the task in matter of minutes rather than days, leaving you all this extra time to conduct further assessment, communicate with the right candidates, and making a better decision all around. By automating the scoring process, you are also guaranteed a better quality candidate every time. You are not hastily choosing few names from the top of the file, but carefully selecting from the very best candidate pool. AI will also help improve your candidate's experience by giving them full visibility into the whole interview process and having that automated communication, not just to apply for the position, schedule them for interview, giving them the feedback, extending an offer, and getting them hired for your project. Have you come across a qualified and experienced candidate who did not make the cut for one job but would be a great fit for another? Perhaps this candidate has all the right qualifications for a different job. What do you do in that situation? If you have AI will help you build and maintain a database of top talent and help you identify candidates from this database for opportunities in the future. This makes sure that your recruitment process always remains optimized. Jason's generation will never know the struggle of recruitment without help. The mountain of resumes, the lengthy processes, the never ending interviews. But with AI, hopefully the future generations will never have to. For them, hiring and recruitment will become quick, simple tasks carried out by tapping a few buttons. I anticipate that in few years to come, AI will completely change the way my company works. People are always nostalgic for the old ways and the way of things used to be. But hand on heart, I can tell you, I don't miss it for a second. AI is revolutionizing my whole industry, and I want to be part of this revolution, which is why I decided to invest in my own AI recruiting platform called Gabby. As the head of a recruiting company and someone who has been active in this field for decades now, I'm very familiar with the kind of challenges that recruiters face and what AI can do to help address these challenges. So I took my 20 something years of experience as a recruiter, teamed up with some very intelligent AI developers such as yourself, and made a recruiting platform that's designed to make not just the work, but also the lives of the recruiters easier. AI recruiting platforms are fast becoming standards across the recruiting industries, but there are still many small organizations for whom technology is financially unviable. Depending on what your needs are, custom-made AI recruiting platforms could cost you anywhere between 6,000 to 300,000 to develop. Third-party recruiting softwares like Chatbot could cost up to 40,000 per year to hire. AI consultants charge around 300 to 400 an hour. But these costs are quickly reducing in large part because people are fast realizing the huge benefit that AI has to offer to the industry. One of the big fears the hiring manager has is the pre-existing biases either in the data or the AI developers and how those biases will impact the recruiting and screening process. Most organizations today value diversity and inclusion in their hiring. There is understandable hesitancy at onboarding a recruiting platform that could negatively affect the ability to keep your hiring processes fair and impartial. There is still a widespread distrust of artificial intelligence, and like in many other fields, there is fear that AI will eventually replace the recruiters themselves. The simple truth is, AI will not and cannot replace the human element. As I said in the beginning, recruitment is not about job, it's about people. Recruitment especially requires empathy, building connections, with the candidates and clients, understanding their needs, their history, and their aspirations. Human beings depend on empathy to make lasting emotional connections. And to successfully fill an opening, recruiters and hiring managers need to understand more than just what's on a resume. They also need to understand the culture of the organization and the way teams are built. As intelligent as AI recruiting systems are, they are not just smart enough or human enough to replace a recruiter. Which brings to my final point of for today. What is the next step for AI in recruitment? As you guys are experts in the field of AI, you are probably familiar with the concept of artificial empathy. By introducing artificial empathy to recruitment, AI organizations can implement more empathetic hiring practices. AE can also help reduce possibility of AI biases and make the hiring processes more inclusive. So as a recruiter, this is my challenge to all you AI developers of today. Can you help AI in recruitment take the next step?